Hey guys, Ariel here from 3 Tough Cookies Design. Today we're going back to basics. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I apply glitter to my tumbler using epoxy. Well, I guess this is not quite basic because a lot of people usually like to start with ultrafine or fine because it's a lot easier to use. But today I'm actually going to show you guys how to apply chunky glitter. Well, this is actually a pixie mix from 3 Tough Cookies Design. It's called Maleficent. It's a color shift. If you guys haven't tried this yet, we call our pixie mix collection, which is what this is. The size that's mixed in with it ranges from like fine, ultra fine, all the way to jumbo. Not sure if you guys can really see that on the camera, but this one's really pretty. Okay, so this is Maleficent. So the way for color shifts, it can be a little tricky picking your base coat. So what I usually do is while it's in the bottle, I kind of just let the light reflect. And for me, like in person, this looks like it has more of a, like the purple is a little bit more dominant than the green that it shifts to. So I decided to go ahead and use purple for my base coat. Okay, so let me see. This is the base coat that I used. My favorite brand is Rust-Oleum 2 times because I just feel like it gives me the coverage that I want with just one coat. And this is just a plain color purple for this one. So okay, the way that I pick my paint is usually I go gloss is my last resort. Like if I cannot find the color that I want, in first I would go with matte. If they don't have matte, then I would go with satin. If they don't have that, then I go semi-gloss and then gloss. So this is my last resort just because I feel like it repels epoxy. And then so I don't want to have any fish eyes, which is like those blobs that you see that kind of like it's separating. So we don't want those. So usually I don't use gloss, but it's kind of hard to find paint right now, and some colors they don't come in matte, so I use what I can. And so the reason why you want to choose your base coat to be as close to the glitter that you're going to use, it's because once you apply your glitter, it kind of hides bald spots. But if you don't choose if your base coat is really far off from what your glitter is, you'll be able to see the color, and then so you'll have to reapply epoxy and reapply the glitter again. And then so I just feel like you're using more glitter and epoxy than you really have to. And so let me show you. So I made that mistake because I only had one type of green on hand, and then so I used whatever green I had on this tumbler that right there. Oh, sorry you guys, it's like tilting on me, how weird. Okay, so as you can see, there are bald spots and you can really see it. See, I didn't have a green that was closer to the green that this is reflecting. And then so there it is. I'm gonna have to do a second coat of glitter on that one so that you can't see those bald spots. And if you guys are wondering what glitter this is actually also from 3 Tough Cookies Design. It is called Polyjuice Potion. So this is going to be part of a, okay, let me adjust my camera real quick for you guys again. This is actually going to be a 2-part tutorial. I figured I might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone and show you guys how I glitter my tumbler with epoxy, and 2, sorry you guys, like, there you go. Oh, It's gonna fall off my table. And then 2, how I, geez, how did I do this? Oh, how I do my drips, you know, like those drips that you guys see everywhere. Since these are going to be Halloween cups, it's a 4-set wine tumbler. So that will be on the part 2. It's kind of like how I really finish this off. So this is just how I apply glitter. All right, so I actually already mixed my epoxy off camera, which I hope it's still good. Okay, it is. So I only use very little. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a lot of bubbles in there because I always mix my epoxy like it's cake batter. So I use my torch to get rid of the micro bubbles anyways, so I haven't had any problems with that. But you know, to each their own. If you want to mix it really slow, that is cool. So I only mixed 5 ml of epoxy because I usually use 1 ml or less than 1 ml of epoxy to apply my glitter. So the green tumbler that I just showed you guys, this is actually what's left from it, and still quite a lot. Alright, so I'm gonna put on my mask because I do have a cold going right now, so the epoxy kind of irritates my airway. So I'm so sorry if I probably already sound muffled right now, but if I sound even more muffled. So let's get started. What I do usually is I just dip my finger, and then you just really have to work it. Well, I really have to work it even more now because I do use fast set, so it doesn't give me much time since I already finished glittering a cup. This has been sitting for a minute. Just go all the way around. You can see it's starting to get kind of tacky on me, so I have to work even faster. So I definitely recommend that if you're a beginner, I would not recommend using fast set because you do have to work a lot faster. And if you're still trying to figure out like, oh, how to glitter, or like, you know, just like how to do the design or how to work with epoxy, I would suggest using just a regular epoxy that takes about 6 to 8 hours to dry, because then you get like I want to say that your working time is about 45 minutes as opposed to about 10 minutes. So when I first started, I actually used just the one that you buy from Michael's, the Illuminite one. So I switched over to KS resin because, one, it does not smell as bad as Illuminite. This one actually has pretty low odor. So when I usually do my tutorials and I'm not wearing my mask, I'm able to tolerate it. So you guys can like hear me better. But with Illuminite, I couldn't even mix it without putting my mask on at all. So it's just a tip. As you can see, I'm really trying to work it. There's the spot I missed. So for me, I've also noticed that like the edges of my tumbler, they dry faster. So I really try to like make sure that I have enough epoxy on the edges. Like as long as you're kind of like going up, you shouldn't worry about like getting it in your cup. And don't forget the bottom. So I have never taped off my bottom I have always put glitter underneath, well, under my cup. I just like the look better than leaving it plain metal. And I have to say that I have not gotten any complaints of like chipping or anything like that. And I've been making tumblers for over 2 years now. But I do make sure that before I send it out that it has completely cured. So maybe that has something to do with it. And my customers have dropped their cups, and so far no one has came up to me and said like, oh, can you fix this because it's cracked. So that's a good sign. So I just do this because I want to make sure that it's pretty smooth, because if you're using like lighter glitter, especially if it's ultrafine, sometimes you'll see the streaks and you don't want that. And take my glove off, and it's time to apply the glitter. I'm just got a piece of paper here so I can catch my glitter. Okay, put that down there. Alright, let me grab Maleficent from 3 Tough Cookies. Alrighty, so I just start from the top. So I usually pour it like a little bit off of the cup so that I could really get the rim of it. And then once it goes all the way around, I go down a little bit more. You just keep going until your cup is covered. I really like this color too. I like pretty much all of our color shift. But then I love glitter, so probably biased. Anyways, so you just keep going. So I feel like the GoPro is, don't forget the bottom. It's really sensitive to sound, so I'm sorry if you guys can hear a child screaming. That is one of our neighbor's kids. I think he's about 2 years old. And he likes to scream. Okay. And our neighbor's dog is also barking, so usually it's a quiet neighborhood except for those 2 things. Alright, I think I am happy with that coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all my glitter back in my bottle. So if you guys haven't tried us yet, all of our glitter comes in bottles, and it is measured by weight and not volume, because if we measured it by volume, some glitter, it's just more fluffy than others. And so as you can see at the bottom of the screen, you see all that glitter that's left over? Well, it all came from the same bottle, but now the bottle is full. That's a lot of glitter. So that's why we measure our glitter by weight. It's so you can really get all your glitter. Because once you pat it down, look at how much is left in there. How much room is left. So that's why we measure everything by weight. So, oops, just spilled some. Because even though we've already used glitter on the tumbler, we still have pretty much a full bottle of glitter left. So even if you guys don't use our glitter, I would highly recommend that you at least shop from a company that measures their glitter by weight and not volume, because you will definitely get a lot more glitter that way. Okay, so now that it's fully glittered, I usually take a gloved hand and then I just pat it down, because I don't know if you guys can see it, but there are some, like at the bottom of the screen, you'll see some of them are standing up. And then so I just push it down gently, trying not to move my glitter. So you just go down and then up. Don't like move your hand around. So that just kind of helps lay it flat. Just go all the way around the tumbler. And then so this will save you epoxy later on, because then once you're ready to do your next coat, you won't have to do as many coats of epoxy. Since your glitter is already flat, then you can get it smooth a lot faster. Sometimes I only have to do one flood coat and it's smooth enough for me to be able to put my decal on it. It just all depends on how flat you can get your glitter on this step. So this is a very important step when using chunky glitter. I know it's kind of like, at first when I first started a couple years ago, I did not want to use chunky because I was scared to use it, just because so many people were like, oh, it's so hard to work with and blah blah blah. Well, I finally decided that, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try, because there's so many like chunky mixes out there that's just beautiful. And then so I found that if you just squish it, you can get away with one, maybe 2 coats of epoxy on top of this, and it will be nice and smooth for you to put on your decal. There goes the neighborhood dog again. We also have a neighborhood cat that everyone kind of just feeds, and it would go in front of your door. Okay, let's see. Okay, don't forget to smush the bottom too. And then as you can see, there are some that's sticking out right here on the rim. So what I usually do is I just kind of push it back. And some of them, whatever is not actually sticking to the cup, will fall off. And later on, you'll see that, like, once you take this off the turner, that there might be some like right on the rim. So that I usually just use my X-Acto knife, and I'm able to just kind of pop it off. Okay, so I have been asked before if I seal my glitter at all before my next coat of epoxy. And the answer is yes, I do. Why? Because I don't want my glitter to move while I'm like working the epoxy. Like, because when you're doing your next coat, you have to kind of like go through the cup. And sometimes when I first started, I would see like some of my glitter would fall off, and then I'm like, dang it, now that part doesn't have enough glitter, you know? So I just like to do a generous coat of clear matte, same brand as my spray paint, as my base coat, Rust-Oleum. So I like using matte because it does not repel epoxy like I said before. But if you cannot find clear matte, gloss is fine too. But just so you know, you might get some fisheye with using that. I have heard someone say that after they spray paint it, they kind of take alcohol and just wipe it real quick with it, and that usually helps with the repelling. But then some people say that alcohol gives them fisheye, so I really don't have experience with that, so I can't say. But what I do normally is, if my Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, Walmart doesn't have it, I have been able to buy it off of Amazon. They sell it in 6-packs, so usually, since I use a lot of it, I just have it on hand all the time. So if my husband goes to Lowe's or Home Depot and he knows that I only have like 2 bottles left, then he usually grabs a couple for me just so I don't run out of it. I did run out one year, I think it was last year, and we had to order it from Amazon, and they only sold it in 6-pack, and then so he ended up getting me like a dozen of them. So yeah, so I just always have it on hand so I don't run out of it anymore. But that's just a quick tip. After this is done drying and curing and stuff, for me, since it's fast set, it'll be about 4 hours. So I'll take it off the turner, take it outside, spray it generously with my clear matte, and then let it dry. Usually that takes about 30 minutes for it to dry, and then I put on my first coat of epoxy. And so here it is. So even if there are bald spots, I really can't tell because my base coat was fairly close to the dominant glitter, or the dominant color, which is purple. But if you guys want to know what happens next, it'll be on a part 2 of this tutorial, which will include how I do the drip method for these tumblers, since it will be a Halloween themed tumbler set. If you guys like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you want to see what happens next, then please subscribe so you don't miss the second part of this video. I really hope you guys enjoy this, and I'm able to help you guys make tumblers, because I really love making tumblers, and I feel like it's just so relaxing. So anyways, I'm rambling on now. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll go ahead and post the glitter that I used for this tutorial down below. Alright guys, thanks for watching.